Award-winning author John M. Nichols will be on XRQK Los Angeles and Airtime America on May 26th at 12 noon and at 8 p.m. Pacific Time for Writer of a Trilogy. To learn more, visit online at johnnicholasauthor.com.
Welcome back to the Charlie Checkers Show in progress. This is your host, Charlie Checkers, and today we have with us Rich Gehlhausen and Lady Selah SuJuris. It's so nice of you both to join us tonight for this first show.
You know, Charlie, I want to thank you so much for letting me be on your show, your very first program. I want to thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Yes.
Glad to have you.
Okay.
It is nice to be here on the program. Charlie, you know, I really was quite intrigued as you were describing this film. Now, I personally, I'm just not a big fan of horror-type movies or thrillers, but this actually has a very intriguing undertone to it. I'm very interested in the psychological side of it. But I do have a question for you. After viewing the film yourself, do you think that there was not really violence in those types of terms, but do you think that this is a film that most people would enjoy who are not into violent or horror films?
I think so. I think it really touches home. I felt for Curtis when he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what to think about his experiences, the things he was experiencing. But he takes action, and anybody who has a family or parents or loved ones would do the same to protect their family. He does what he has to do, what he believes he has to do. He researches what he thinks is his problem. He builds a kennel for the dog because he thought it attacked him in his dream. He builds and stocks a storm shelter. He tries to get help for his paranoia, he thinks. We all can relate to his actions. Who of us who doesn't have a family who want to protect our loved ones from what we believe is to be danger, real or imagined, wouldn't do the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
So it really touches it's close to home.
I agree. As you were describing some of the things that he was going through, you know, I could imagine him out of either embarrassment or not understanding what's happening to himself. You know, he's hiding all this activity from his wife, but you kind of can feel for him, like, who wants to go to your wife and tell her all this stuff, you know? I mean,
exactly.
So you really feel where he's coming from. So I appreciate the way that you described the film.
You're welcome. And now about the producer. Tyler-Davidson introduced the film and hosted a question and answer session after the film's debut. And he said, and I quote, "For me, it's been a matter of hanging in there and weathering a number of storms over the years," said Davidson, who grew up in Chagrin Falls. "I thought that if I could stay in the game, eventually I would be involved with something that would really pop. I think Take Shelter is that film." And Roger Ebert called it a masterful filmmaking, while the New Yorker's David Denby dubbed it extraordinary. The New York Times' A.O. Scott called the film remarkable and a perfect allegory for a panicky time. Now, Take Shelter was written and directed by Jeff Nichols. It charts the apocalyptic visions of Curtis. He's a blue-collar husband and father. And as you imagine, he must, because he's having all these nightmares and dreams and visions, he is trying to figure out whether or not he is psychic or just going insane. And his wife and daughter are very scared. His behavior gets progressively worse. And it all plays out in chilling realism against the backdrop of broad Ohio landscapes. Now, without Davidson, there would have not been Take Shelter film. He's the one who brokered the deal to get the film made on a tight budget of only about $5 million. Very small potatoes by Hollywood standards, of course, but along with a production team that included Sophia Lynn and Sarah Green. So behind the talent of Tyler Davidson is a passion. But where did all that come from? Davidson's parents were divorced when he was in the 3rd grade, and he and his younger brother Jamie lived with their mom, Pat. So like her parents, Pat, who unfortunately died in 2009, encouraged her son's passion for movies by taking him on regular excursions to Cedar Lee to see independent and foreign films. And that passion continued all the way through Davidson's years at Chagrin Falls High School and the University of Virginia. Now, after he graduated in 1997, he thought his graduate school plans were all set to go. He was going to study filmmaking at Florida State University, one of the really hot film schools of the day. But one day he's hanging out in his office of his uncle, Chagrin Falls writer Scott Lax, and the phone rings. Lo and behold, it's writer-director Jay Craven. He wants to turn Lax's soon-to-be-published Vietnam War-era novel, The Year That Trembled, into a film. So Lax had the crazy idea that he and his nephew could produce the film. So Lax says, Tyler standing there, all of 22 years of him, and he looking like he's 16, Lax recalled. I said, I'll do it if you'll do it with me. And Davidson looked at him and said, I'll do it. Of course, none of them, or neither one of them, had a clue what it meant to produce a motion picture, so they learned on the job, seat of their pants, on the fly, spending the next several years trying to raise the money and assembling the cast and their crew. So instead of going to school to learn how to make movies, Davidson just made a movie. The movie, The Year That Trembled, shot in Hiram and Garrettsville, Ohio in 2001, with Fred Willard and Martin Meal. Debuted at the Cleveland International Film Festival in 2002. And Davidson says, as stressful as it was, he was hooked. From that point forward, I can't imagine wanting to do anything else. So, the next thing was for them, him and his wife, Leon, who were college classmates, made the next logical move. They headed to the big city of Los Angeles, where Davidson spent the next 3 years with a lab entertainment group working on film and TV projects. Now, he says we had so many projects we were developing that none of them got produced, he said. And so he was itching to make a complete film again. So Davidson teamed up with writer-director Derek Sigg in 2006 on the quirky drama Swedish Otto, starring Lucas Haas and January Jones. Now, when he and Leon started a family, they decided that Northeast Ohio was preferable to the craziness out in Southern California, and they now live in Russell's, Ohio. So we ask ourselves what it takes to be an independent filmmaker in Ohio. So Take Shelter was set in Ohio, and it certainly, the landscapes and all that certainly make Ohio shine. And unfortunately, hopefully not, it will not be destroyed by any apocalyptic visions that come true. Producing quality films minus all the money, marketing the major studios is endlessly daunting. So, if you talk to people in Davidson's life, why he's able to stay an Ohio-based independent filmmaking career where most others have not been able to, where they have failed, his father says he's very loyal, very stubborn, very focused, very positive, and very committed. Leon describes her husband as quietly tenacious. And the woman who told him he was the one on their first date adds, he's brutally honest and always has been. But don't just take it from the ones who love him. Take it from people who are interested in the bottom line, the guys who are helping him make these films. Michael Barker, the co-president of Sony Pictures Classics, says that Tyler has a lot of integrity and he's a very straight shooter. Now, Michael Barker is Sony Pictures Classics is the company that acquired distribution rights to Take Shelter on the eve of the Sundance Film Festival. And they released the film in just 3 theaters in New York and Los Angeles, and it slowly rolled out across the country. And this is a common strategy for distributors whose recent titles include Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris. He also, they say of Davidson, that he's a problem solver and he interacts well not only with other producers but with the talents of the film. And he couldn't speak more highly of Tyler, Barker said, and he hopes he can do another film with him, and they may soon get the chance. In the meantime, a lot of times when some of the actors have Oscar nods or talk of awards, most of the filmmakers and actors immediately hit a default button keys that says, I can't think about that now, or they don't have control over these things, or it's such an honor to be nominated. Davidson says he wants to be an award-winning Academy winner consistently, and that is very cool. I think we're going to hear good things from Tyler Davidson.
You know, that's quite a story about the producer. I think that would make a great short film just in itself.
Yes, it would.
Yes, I actually, he has a lot of good history with, lots of different experiences in the industry, not just in Hollywood, but some of the other independent films he made. So that would make a good film.
Yes, it definitely would. Maybe we'll see one day. Let's take a brief commercial break, and we will be right back.
Award-winning author John M. Nichols will be on XRQK Los Angeles and Airtime America on May 26th at 12 noon and at 8 p.m. Pacific Time for Writer of a Trilogy. To learn more, visit online at johnnicholasauthor.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Charlie Checker Show in progress, and I'm here with Lady Selah and Rich Gehlhausen for the Take Shelter, an independent film. I watched the movie, and this is what I thought about the film. As I said before, we talked about Curtis being a father and trying to protect his family. Now I'd like to talk about the daughter and the mother, his wife, and how she felt. I think I would be angry, too, to know that he was doing all of this and not sharing that with me. It's kind of a trust issue when you're married and you're in love with someone, that you would like them to share all of their things with you. But I guess that Curtis felt embarrassed or maybe just really scared and thought it would be terrifying for her to know what he was going through. And then I thought also about Hannah, her being deaf, and what she thought about all that was going on. There is one point in the film that they go to their deaf school and are learning